In this video, we do an unboxing and review of the AnkerMake M5. But before we get into today's video, just want to share with you what the GGGGs are for this month. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of June of 2023, we have two $25 credits towards LV427. They make sci-fi terrain. Also use my 20% off code for your first order for all of my viewers. We have two pledges for the Zectonium Prison Mines Kickstarter that is going on right now. We have two pledges for the Bleak Elf Bastion Kickstarter, which should also be going on right now. We have two pledges for the Daco Quest Black Coast Citadel Kickstarter. We have two pledges for the Frost City Kickstarter. We also have this Guike 10-watt diode laser. And then finally $100 to go towards a crowdfunding campaign, which my Patreon supporters are currently voting upon. Go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page. That way you can see everything that is up for gratitude gifts for this month. And we might add some more as the month goes along. Only takes $1. You can support the channel, or you can go ahead, go to my merch store at the bottom of this video and purchase one of my merch so that you can continue to show your love and support for the channel. Anker did reach out to me and did send me this M5 along with 2 rolls of filament so that I can do a review. Quick note, I do not receive payment for any of my reviews so that I can give you both the good and the bad in my reviews. But we're going to go ahead and open this up, and I'm going to try to put it together. Anker does say that this does go together very easily, so I'll go ahead and see whether or not that's true. And then we'll go ahead and put it through its paces, and I'll give you the good and the bad. While we do this unboxing, you're not going to see my head, which you don't really want to see anyway. Basically, you want to see what the printer looks like. Now, one of the things about this Anker that I saw is that it is advertised to be able to print very fast. So we'll go ahead and make some tests to see how quickly it can print. So it is packaged really well. Right off the bat, we have a super nice toolkit. We have a pretty thick kickstart guide. We have the power cord along with some very nicely labeled screws. Here is a sample packet of PLA. This looks to be black, I think. Here is the spool holder. Go ahead and push this over. So here we have the Z-axis. And then finally the base. So not a ton of different pieces to this thing. Looks like it's going to go together relatively easily. So the first step is to go ahead and take this cover off in hand. All right, it fits this way. All right, so this whole thing was put together in 10 minutes, which is the fastest that I have put together a 3D printer. So the assembly is really easy, sort of idiot-proof because of this gantry system up here goes in so flush and well. There's no leveling or anything like that. It automatically is in there really secure. So that's pretty much it for assembly. So now we're going to go ahead, power on the system. So this just walks you through some tips. Now it's telling you to go ahead and pull down the AnkerMake app. So I'll go ahead and download it. So after creating an account, opening up the app, it prompted me to search for Bluetooth, and I'm finding it here. And then it tells me the pin to use. That's connecting to my network. Printer is now added. So now I'm being prompted to auto level, so let's go ahead and do that. And what's interesting is what's showing on this screen is actually available in the app, which is really cool. What's also cool is while this is heating up, this is sort of blinking orange. I'm guessing that it will change color to maybe clear, or now it's green. Oh, that's cool. So this works as an indicator to tell you what's happening with the machine, which is super cool. And I'm wondering if there's an error if it turns red, but I like that feature. So now it's going through the alignment. So even though AnkerMake did send me a 2-pack of this white PLA, I'm going to go ahead and use the PLA that I normally go with because I just want to see how well it works with this kind of PLA. Oh, I forgot to update the firmware, so let's go ahead and do that. I will say that it's really nice that this does have Wi-Fi connectivity. I know that that's a feature that you can add with Octoprint on some of the other printers that don't come with it. The Bambu Labs that I have does also have connectivity, but I was never successful in getting it connected. So it's nice that the AnkerMake was able to connect right away with no problems onto my Wi-Fi connection and is able to now do this update without me needing to hook up to my laptop or anything like that. So that's really a nice feature. Alright, so I went to AnkerMate and I did download. I have a Windows PC, so downloaded and was able to install relatively quickly and was pretty much able to pull this up. Let's go ahead and throw in a benchy there. And easy mode, there isn't really a whole lot to be able to switch up. You have normal fast, you have layer height. So let's keep it at that and slice the model. And then once it's sliced, I'll go ahead and hit print and see if my computer will automatically start the print to my networked printer. I have to select that first. Oh, check it out. Right now it's setting up. So while that's heating up, I want to show you that this is scheduled to take about 44 minutes. And let's switch over to see comparatively on my Prusa slicer, this is going to take an hour and a half. So it is printing it in about half the time as I would normally on my Prusa MK3S. All right, so as it starts printing, I have a status update here which shows a countdown of the approximate time. And what I like about this pretty much, as I tap on it, I can actually stop the print. So let's say I'm out running errands, I use the camera, I see that it's just a bunch of spaghetti, I can stop the print, don't have to be home, wait until I come home and see that there's a huge mess here on the build plate. So the ability to be able to stop a print while you're out of the house, I think is hugely advantageous. I mean, that's fantastic. So again, you can set that up with your other printers, with Octoprint, being able to remote in, be able to also set up cameras, but this is all built in, which is something I appreciate a lot. Now on here it does say that it's printing at ×5 or 250 millimeters per second, which this is a lot faster than the stock settings that I use for my other printers for my MK3S. So let's see if there's a degradation in the quality because of the increase in speed, going twice as fast as what I normally print with. Alright, this finished. Came off the build plate really easily. Look at that. And looks pretty good. I'm not seeing any blemishes really. I mean, there's a little bit of lines. So for basically twice the speed of what I run my normal printers at, the result is pretty darn good. Look how good this print is. All right, so this time we're going to go ahead and switch from normal speed, which was 250 millimeters per second, to fast speed. So this should be double the amount of speed from what we just printed. So let's go ahead and slice it and see how quickly, since the previous one, normal speed, was about 44 minutes. This one is at a little bit less than 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and hit print. And then here on the phone you have the live view as well, just to be able to, again, keep track. I think this feature is awesome that you're able to do that. Layers pretty much look clean. So let's compare it now to the one that was done at half speed. And pretty comparable. I mean, the archway here, you notice, is a little bit cleaner than here. But in general, I mean, I think the quality is amazingly similar. I don't see a huge difference between the two. And in fact, if you had mixed these up and were asked which one was printed at super fast speed and which one was normal fast speed, I think you would be hard pressed to be able to tell which is which. So that's pretty amazing that you can not only double the speed in normal mode, but then quadruple the speed with the fast mode, and the quality is this good. I mean, there's slight difference. So if you look at the prow of the ship right here, this is relatively a smooth curve, and here you're seeing a little bit more artifacts in the layer lines. Again, not surprised because of the much faster speed, but that's pretty amazing. I think that's fairly amazing. So what it proves is that if you are in a time crunch and you want to print something really fast, you have that option. Although for the most part, I think I would choose the normal speed for two reasons. One, you do have a little bit of a bump up in quality. Overall, I feel like the machine will last longer when it isn't moving at blazing speeds. But I'm glad that you have the option to go this route if you need to, if there's a project that you need to get done relatively quickly. And there isn't as big of a degradation. Oh, there's a little bit of drooping here. But there isn't as big of a degradation in quality as I thought there was going to be. So my suggestion is stick with the normal speed when you can afford the time. But when you need to, you can use a higher speed, and you'll lose a little bit in quality, but not as much as I thought. Alright, so here we have a couple more quality tests that I made. So in this row, this is your standard Prusa MK3S print, and not sped up at all. This is just in standard mode where I didn't mess with the settings at all. So it's 0.2 millimeter height, and the quality is really good, but this is obviously the slowest, taking at least double or sometimes 4 times more time in order to print these out, but the quality is pretty good. And then this next two rows is from the AnkerMake, and this is the normal speed, which is 250 millimeters per second, and then this is the faster speed, double that speed at 500 millimeters per second. And again, like I showed you with the benchies, there is a qualitative difference, although how much you can tell is debatable. But here you're going to see that there definitely is a difference. If you take a look, first of all, for whatever reason, the faster one is shinier, even though it's the same PLA, whereas the normal speed one is more matte, and the artifacts aren't really that noticeable, and it's pretty much equivalent in terms of quality to the Prusa. The Prusa might be a hair bit better, where the lines are a little bit cleaner, especially at the top. If you notice here, it is more detailed and cleaner up top, whereas if you look at the floor from the M5, it's a little bit rougher by going faster, but the horizontal lines here look pretty good, and this definitely still pretty darn close to the Prusa and printing at double the speed of the Prusa. So now I feel like this piece here is really good at comparing the quality. So let me go ahead and grab this one. So this is printed at double the speed at 500 millimeters per second. Again, both of these are the M5. And there is a qualitative difference. And maybe it's enhanced more because this ended up looking glossy. Again, just the faster speed made it look glossy. But if you look super close, I do think that the print quality does suffer for that increase in speed, especially if you look at the grain of the wood. It's more noticeable. So I feel like the turns that are made at the higher speeds accentuates all of the curves more, and it isn't quite as tight or clean as it is here. And then if you look at the base as well, the base here looks pretty clear here, but when you look at the base here, there's more artifacts. It's not quite as smooth as the other one. But again, I think you would only notice these differences if you were looking really close up like we are right now. Now let's compare this fastest speed here to the Bambu Labs X1, which is printed at 500 millimeters per second. I would say that compared with the M5 500 millimeter per second, same speed, I will say that the Bambu Labs is higher in quality. So check out these side by side. Again, the turns and the corners on the left are a little bit sloppier. It's not quite as crisp as it is with the Bambu Labs. And I would say that the Bambu Labs is not quite as good as the Prusa, but pretty darn close. And I would say it's pretty similar in quality to the M5 at the 250 millimeter per second or normal speed. So the quality is about the same with normal speed M5 and the high speed with the Bambu Labs. The highest speed for the M5, the quality is noticeably worse. But again, let's go ahead and pull these together. And again, the Bambu Labs print is better on the right versus the one on the left. But again, pretty minimal. And then finally, let's go ahead and grab these two and notice the quality difference there. So again, overall, I think the quality is achieved on the M5 if you stay at the normal speed. So here's the normal speed. Looks pretty similar in quality to the Bambu Labs. Going at 500. But all of that is moot when you paint it. So can you tell which one of these are printed on which speed and which computer or which printer? No, absolutely not, because when you're printing things like this, it really doesn't matter. That quality difference really doesn't matter. Only if you're going to be looking at things really close are you going to notice any qualitative difference. Alright, so this is a set of the actual tiles that I want to print out. I'm done testing everything. So that looks super cool. I mean, just looks fantastic. Look at these straight lines. Just really flat, no blemishes on there. So again, really happy with the results. Alright, so now I printed up some files that has some supports on it. So let's see how well these auto supports will come off. Just because you can rip them off inadvertently. So I can tell I already ripped off some stuff here. those auto supports actually came off really easily with minimal scarring. So I really am pleased with that. Okay, let's see how well the filament sensor works. Okay, filament sensor just went off. Alright, so I've been printing for a week, and I think that has given me enough prints and experimentation to be able to give a good sort of final thoughts about the pros and cons with this machine. And in particular, I'm going to compare it to my workhorse and my current favorite machines, which are the Prusas. I have two MK3Ss, and I have a Prusa Mini, and I also have the Bambu Labs X1. Now, in the past, I have reviewed a number of other printers, but I have gotten rid of all of them either as giveaways or the Creality Ender 5, which I bought personally. I also ended up giving that away because at the end of the day, I wanted machines that would be able to do automatic bed leveling, as well as the quality of the prints and the speed of the prints. And overall, I've been super happy with the Prusas, even though they are more at a premium price. So I'm going to be comparing whether or not this machine is going to be replacing my Prusas, or whether or not I'm going to be doing a giveaway with this and keeping my current machines. So stay tuned, but I did create a list of sort of the pros and cons that I found during my experimentation and use of this printer. Here are a couple of the pros. This is definitely a much faster machine than the Prusas. So it is printing even at normal speed twice as fast, and then on the fast mode, it is printing 3 to 4 times faster than the Prusas. Now I'm going to be keeping most of my prints at the normal mode. Again, that's because I have multiple printers running. I don't have to bump it up to the fast level and have that slight degradation in quality by going that much faster. But for the most part, if you need to print something fast, you can go fast mode. And I think the quality difference is barely noticeable, especially if you're going to be printing out terrain as I have here. And oh, by the way, this set that you see here is Dungeon blocks that is currently on Crowdfunder. I'm going to be coming out with a future video showcasing these blocks, but I put this machine through the paces printing out this set. Another reason why I think this machine is actually better than the Prusa is because it only takes 10 minutes to put together. Basically, it's this upper gantry, and you bolt it into place with this very solid board down here, and you're done. You plug in 2 cables, and that's it. So this machine was actually much faster to put together than even my Bambu Labs, which is pretty much comes in a box ready to roll. But some of the accessories that I had to put on that took longer than putting this together. Also, the fact that this is operated through a phone app made it a lot easier for me to connect, to do the firmware update, to be able to track it. Much better than even my Bambu Labs, which I could never get the Wi-Fi. There is a USB-C thumb drive that you can plug into here if you do want to download, so you don't absolutely have to use the app. But I think if you're going to get this machine, you should definitely use the app because it makes it super handy, convenient. I get notifications when the print is done, or I get notifications if the filament runs out. So overall, I think that convenience is amazing. All of my other machines, I have to take an SD card and transfer my STL files or my G-code files into the machines. This is the first one where I can completely access it through my home network, Wi-Fi network, and I'm able to send projects over here as well as be able to view the camera from my computer as well. Also, this has not only auto bed leveling, but also none of the manual micro adjustments that I have to make with my Prusas. This takes care of all of that. Just like the Bambu Labs, where you don't have to touch it or do anything right out of the box, the whole thing levels the entire bed itself and makes adjustments by itself, which is amazing. So I really like the fact that both Bambu sort of started it, but also that the feature found on AnkerMake is it's becoming more and more consumer friendly, where it isn't another hobby just to 3D print something because you have to fiddle around with it so much. And auto bed leveling is a non-negotiable to me. I will not review or take any printers that do not have auto bed leveling. And now I'm going to say that these machines, both the Bambu and this one, requires no micro adjustment whatsoever. The machines do everything themselves, which I would say that's the number one feature that prevents, I think, the average hobbyist from getting a 3D printer. Is it takes a long time to figure out the settings, to figure out the height, if you have to do that manually. And this takes all of that guesswork out of the way. You don't have to become an expert anymore in order to do 3D printing. Also, you have the larger build plate. So the Prusa has a build size of 210 by 210 by 250, and this machine has an extra 25 millimeters on the X and Y axes, so that it is 235 by 235 by 250. Now, you might not think 25 millimeters or 2.5 centimeters are going to make that big of a difference, but in terms of being able to print out the base of one of these, a 6 by 6 block square, I could not do that on my Prusas. I had to print two separate pieces and then glue them together. Whereas here, I was able to fit it exactly on this machine, and I was able to print it up a lot better. Also, on my Prusa, the fastest that I could print that would be 4 hours, but on this machine, it prints it in an hour and a half, which is unbelievable because I put it at 3 millimeter height and at the fastest speed, because it's just the base, no one's going to see it, so the quality doesn't really matter. So this thing can print it out so quickly, and a little bit larger build plate makes it so that I can fit some terrain that I couldn't fit before on my Prusa. Now, compared to the Bambu Labs has larger than that at 256 by 256. So that one is bigger, but I'm finding the little bump up on this one is going to work super well. And finally, the price difference between the three machines, with this coming in at $799 or $800 versus the Prusa. Even the You Build It kit is costing about $800, I think, for the MK4, which is the newer machine by Prusa, and the pre-built one is $1,100. So because this is more of a pre-built, because it only takes 10 minutes to put together, I'm going to compare it to the pre-built with the Prusa, which is $300 more than this machine is. And then compared to the Bambu Labs X1, which is $1,200. So that Bambu Labs is going to cost you 50% more than the cost of this machine. Now, recently I did look up this M5 on Amazon, and here in the US, right now it's on sale for $699, which is amazing. So for $700, you're getting a pre-built machine that has a camera that you can use with an app and prints faster than the MK3S. And I did order the upgrade kit for the MK4, and so I'm going to review that once that comes in. But at least, according to the information that I was able to find online, this machine is still much, much faster than the MK4. So my conclusion is the AnkerMake is actually a better machine than I think what the MK4 is going to be, just because of all the features and the speed that you're going to get from this machine, which right now you can't get from the MK4. I think they're planning with future updates with firmware and software that they're going to reach higher speeds, but at least right now, this machine is more capable, is faster, and is easier to use than the MK4. Again, I'm going to do a review, so make sure you subscribe, because I should be getting that at the end of June, and hopefully we'll have a video in the middle of July. But for now, and I can't believe I'm doing this because I love my Prusa machines, I would recommend, especially for new 3D printer enthusiasts, to actually purchase this machine over the Prusa. Even the DIY kit that is selling for $800, I think this is actually a better deal, and you're actually getting more features than what is available with the MK4. And really, the Bambu Labs X1, I sort of regret purchasing that because it's more machine than what I need it for. So I would suggest the Bambu Labs X1 Carbon over this one if you are going to be printing in other materials, especially high temperature materials like ABS or things like that, which I don't. I exclusively print in PLA, and every once in a while I'll print in PETG, and these machines are capable of doing PETG, PLA, all that kinds of stuff relatively easily. So because I'm primarily just doing hobbying like what you see here and in PLA almost exclusively, this machine is actually better. And definitely you shouldn't be spending an additional $400 above this to get the X1 Carbon if you're not going to be using all those other features. For example, the AMS where it automatically changes the spool color, which again, I never use that feature because I paint all of my terrain, so I don't really need that. So I feel like the Bambu X1 is more of a specialty and high-end printer that really you would only get if you have those special needs. And in actuality, I know that Bambu Labs came out with a P1P, which is a $700 version, a trimmed down version of the X1. But again, according to at least the little research that I did on the P1P, I would still get this machine over the P1P, even though the P1P is a true Core XY machine rather than having a sling bed down here. Core XY just means the way that the printer head can move both in XY. It just makes it faster to be able to do it that way. So I was surprised, even with a sling bed design like this has, of how quickly this is able to print. But the P1P doesn't have a camera. The P1P looks like it's not finished. It looks like a bare bones version of the X1. So again, over the X1, I would actually pick this up instead of the P1P. Now that I've tested this, I sort of wish I didn't get the MK4 upgrade because that cost me about $600. I wish I would have just spent that money to pick up another one of these AnkerMake M5s. But I am totally impressed with this machine. And for those of you who are really looking for a plug-and-play printer, I think we're progressing along. Bambu first created a true plug-and-play machine, and now this AnkerMake is also a plug-and-play. And I think all those other printer manufacturers like Creality and Prusa and others really need to take stock with this sort of next jump into the iterative process of 3D printing. So we've been waiting for the technology to advance. I think Prusa is a little bit behind the ball because the MK3S is a 5-year-old platform, and the incremental changes that they made with the MK4 isn't that super impressive. Whereas I feel like this AnkerMake has made leaps and bounds in making consumer 3D printers available for the newbie who doesn't want to get into another hobby of 3D printing. Of course, it is pricier than the Enders. You can get Enders really cheaply, under $200 now. But when you buy an Ender, you have to be willing to put in the time and energy of tweaking the machine and sort of becoming an amateur expert at 3D printing process overall. Whereas with this, you don't need to do that. You just plug it in, you put it together, and you're off to the races, being able to print all this amazing stuff like you see here. Now, are there any negative things that I found with the machine? Really, there's only two things. One is it's super loud, and other people have said this about the machine as well. In actuality, the Bambu X1 is also super loud, but it's mitigated a little bit because it's enclosed. Just imagine if the Bambu Labs was not, it was completely open, and maybe the P1P is as loud as this is, but the fans to cool, because it's so fast, that's necessary to cool the machine, they're just loud, and they're on all the time when the machine is on. So just note, that doesn't bother me a whole lot because this isn't in the same room as my office, so I don't care about the noise. But if you are sensitive to noise, you might want to pass on this. The second thing that didn't work for me was actually this release up here for where the filament goes in is normally put in with a tube. For whatever reason, the 2 times that the filament went out, the filament sensor did go off. I was sent a notification saying that I needed to put in more filament. But when I tried to extract the remainder of the filament that was in there, it got stuck and wouldn't push out of the side here where it enters in. And so I had to jimmy this hose out of here because this quick release didn't work. And the second time I had to do that, I had to use pliers to pull it out. So rather than bothering with that, I just stuck a piece of filament in here so that the sensor thinks that I have enough filament, and then I just directly stuck it in like a direct drive right into the heat block here. So it doesn't look like other reviewers have this machine had that problem where when they ran out of the filament, they just hit the extract button here and it was able to remove whatever remainder of the filament that was in here. So maybe it was just me. Also, as soon as I just replace this quick release for the hose, that problem should be mitigated and I'll feed it back through in here. But for now, this was a hack that I did for this review. But really, those are the only two negatives that I have with this machine. Everything else I love. So in conclusion, the AnkerMake M5 receives the Gaming Geek stamp of approval, especially if you've been waiting for 3D printing to advance to a level where it is true plug and play. So if you don't want to learn how to do this whole hobbying thing, but just want a machine that works and works well, I definitely suggest getting this machine. So hit the like button and subscribe because I will be doing a review of the MK4 when it comes out, as well as doing a review and overview of dungeon blocks, what you see printed up here. Really quickly, I want to tell you that there is an event that's coming up here at the end of June. Use the link below in the descriptions. There is going to be a speed benchy making contest that's going to be happening at the end of the month. Again, use the link below. That's going to be an event. Also, check out some of my links if you are interested in purchasing. And please use my Amazon affiliate link if you are choosing to purchase this here in the United States. This does give me a little bit of a kickback based off of your purchase through my link, and it doesn't cost you anything to take that extra step. Again, this machine is on sale for $100 off right now. I don't know how long that sale is going to happen, so right now is a great time to pick up one of these machines. Thanks so much for watching. Have fun printing. We'll see you next time.